As you guys know, I've been in Korea for 1 year now, so I decided to come to my favorite restaurant and do a quick Q&A. Let's get straight into it. What was the first question?
What surprised you the most about living in Korea for a year?
I think what surprised me was like the opportunities that I got. Like I think being here, obviously I came just to do teaching, but I ended up doing like so much more. I ended up like some like modeling stuff, like doing the music video, kind of start like a whole community at Moss, like doing so much work online as well. And all those things were like side quests. The amount of side quests I did in Korea was crazy, so unexpected. And I think that's the beauty of traveling is that you get to like, because you're already outside your comfort zone, doing anything crazy doesn't feel that crazy because you're already in a crazy situation. That's a lot of crazy. Chicken tenders. It's like KFC.
What was easier than you expected?
Loki is kind of funny. It took me so long to start doing it, but when I finally decided to start learning like Hangul, like the Korean alphabet, it was surprisingly easy. I actually learned it in like literally like 1 day, probably. I learned the whole thing in 1 day, and I was able to like read at a decent speed. I was like, and like before I started learning it, I was very reluctant to do it. I was like, oh, it'll take too much time, and I'm only going to be in Korea for a year, so what's the point? But it was surprisingly easy, so I'm glad I did it.
What was harder than you expected?
Finding halal food. Honestly, I know I said it time and time again, but finding halal food is actually so difficult. Like, they're there, but they're in like very specific locations. You have to go to eating, you have to be like inside the mosque to find like halal food. And that's why places like this are great because like people just open up more halal restaurants and then we get to, as an Ummah, get to experience them and experience different food. Because I wanted to try more Korean food, but unfortunately there wasn't that many halal Korean restaurants. There's a couple, but they're kind of like a Malaysian twist or a Malaysian take on Korean food rather than just like straight up Koreans making halal Korean, which is a shame. That's like one of the things that was very difficult. And also like the teaching was actually very difficult. We're gonna make a whole video talking about how teaching actually is, like out here in these houses. It's very difficult. I'll make a whole video about that, but like that was a lot more difficult than I expected.
What's the most awkward cultural moment you've had here?
Most awkward cultural moment. Right, low-key was today. Today, I was at work and I go to this like rice bowl place. They make like a rice bowl with like omelette on top and like fish cutlet. It's really nice. I was there at work and I walked inside and like the woman recognized me every time. She was there. And I mean, I guess it's like more a language than a culture thing, but then she was like, oh, only Hanja? And I was like, Hanja? I didn't know what Hanja was. I was like, Hanja, just trying to figure out what it meant. And I was just looking at her, she was just looking at me. And I just did my usual, was just like, Anio. I'll just choose yes or no, basically. And Hanja means, are you alone? So she was asking me, am I alone today? And I was, and I said no. So she was like looking behind me, it was so awkward. She's a Hanja. So I then had to like Google Translate to figure out what it was, and then we were laughing about it. But that was a funny like cultural interaction. I actually happened today. But other than that, when it comes to like cultural things, I haven't really had too many like interesting cultural interactions at all. Like when it comes to awkward moments or shocking moments. Obviously, like I've said before, my first day here was difficult because I didn't speak any of the language. I didn't really know anything about the food. I went into a mother tongue shop and I didn't know what to do. I was just looking at this fridge of ingredients and she gave me like a big plastic bowl. I was like, how many should I put? How much noodles do I need? How much vegetables? And I ended up literally having a bowl of soup this big with like 4 noodles in it, literally 4 strands of noodles, 1 piece of papichoy, and like 2 eggs. That was my meal my first day in Korea. Because I didn't understand how like those kind of restaurants work. So that was probably the most awkward cultural moment. Good for that. You guys need to ignore the food on my face.
Is there a moment you almost decided to leave early?
Okay, now this is an interesting situation. You've been following for a while, you would have seen on like the socials when I was posting in my earlier vlogs and things like that. There was a week, probably around like July time, maybe August, where I remember I was sitting in the park for my lunch break, and I low-key was done. I like to experience things in shorter times. That's probably a better way to phrase it. Like, I like to dive like head first into something, do it like really strong, really hard, experience everything in like 3 months or 6 months, and then it's on to the next thing, on to the next project, on to the next country, whatever it may be. So when I was around that 6-month period, and the school, like I told you guys, it was Halal, it was headache every single day. The school, children being loud, the management not communicating, like the hours are disgusting. Because you're just working a teacher, it's quite an easy job in terms of the teaching, but it's the hours are so long that you don't have any life outside of work. So around that time, I was literally looking at myself, like, do I really need to stay? What are my other options? Can I like bounce early? Like, I feel like I'd seen everything I needed to see in Korea. And I was really like considering it, but then decided to stay, to stick through and prove to myself that I can stay through and push through tough times, and not just like, I guess, give up when I get bored or give up when I feel any sort of resistance. So yeah, that was the time when I actually nearly left the country. Let's try the chicken burger. The taco low-key. The quesadilla, this one. This is a new menu item. Filipino. It's like a quesadilla.
What's the hardest part about being Muslim in Korea?
Hey, you guys already know the answer. I need to say it. Really. This right here is the hardest part. Food is like a fundamental of life. That's a basic human right. My human rights are being violated, I guess you could say. Like, it's not impossible. That's the only thing I would say. Like, if you want to like cook at home, you could order halal food online. There's the butchers in tier one. You can make it work. It's just more expensive and it's inconvenient. I feel like where I grew up in the UK anyway, it was already inconvenient getting halal food there anyway. So it's not too crazy, too tough. But like, just not being able to have things I wanted. Well, you know what, actually, the biggest difference I would say between the UK and here with halal, it's not even about restaurants, because restaurants is like, you're not even eating out all the time anyway. It's more so about like the snacks and the stuff that I now can't eat because of like it containing pork or it having potential cross contamination of pork, which is those reasons make it very hard as Muslims. Like, if you go into a convenience store, pretty much every packaging from the Lotte company will say contains meat or contains pork, because they're all coming from the same factory where they're getting packaged. So it doesn't mean it actually has any pork in it necessarily, but they have to obviously put it there just in case. And that is a big thing, because originally I was eating cookies and stuff, I was enjoying myself. There's this one pineapple Oreo, oh my goodness, this fire, like this pineapple Oreo cookie, so good. I found out that it was like, they contain pork type thing, so I decided that I couldn't eat these anymore. And like, some of you, some Muslims might be like, it's calm, like, keep it like, you know, your intention is right and it's not that deep. But for me, I was like, it's a cookie, you know, I can give up a cookie for the sake of my deen. But yeah, those are some big things that I kind of overlook, like just ease of access, being able to enjoy little things here and there, you know, that kind of stuff. Oh my god, actually the best halal burger, so no cap.
What's something non-Muslims don't realize about living halal abroad?
I was thinking about the other day, people that backpack, people that are able to travel loads of countries at once and go wherever they want and do things very cheap. They have it so easy. Like, for me, I love traveling. I love exploring the world. The one thing that's always stopped me and always stopped a lot of my friends, a lot of Muslims get stopped by it, is like, you have to really be conscious. Is this place Muslim friendly? Do they have halal food? Do they have places to pray? These things non-Muslims don't have to think about. So they can just be like, okay, I want to go to Vietnam tomorrow, I want to go to Thailand, I want to go to Laos, Cambodia, wherever. They can just get up and go, and like, if they're just walking, they're like, that looks good, let me just try it. They can get the real cultural experience without having to think about these things. They can just try like the pho on the street, or just try a random bibimbap on the street. Those are things that I miss when I was in Vietnam, and I miss when I'm here. Like, there's certain things I can't try, I can't get involved with, because you have to be very skeptical. As a Muslim traveler, that's one of the hardest things, is to know where is friendly, where is suitable. And places that aren't as Muslim friendly, like for example places like China, which seem very restrictive against Muslims. You'd be surprised at how big the Muslim population is there. In certain areas like Xi'an, and even in Chengdu and Shanghai and Hong Kong, there's places where there's like a lot of halal food available, but you don't realize it because you see it as like a non-halal friendly zone, so you just don't even try to go there. And that's the hardest part of traveling as a Muslim that a lot of non-Muslims don't realize. Mainly just food, and also not for myself, because obviously as a man I have an easier life, but as a woman, as a Muslim woman, it's so difficult. Certain places that you're wearing hijab, you'll be getting stared at, you'll be getting maybe insulted, maybe this and that can happen, you know, that because you're visibly shown. So it's different for them, and I respect the sisters so much who travel, because you have to show that as a symbol that is shown everywhere you go, and they have it harder. That's why for them it's not as easy to just get up and travel to Thailand or by themselves or something like that, because they are going to be under a lot more pressure immediately just from the visible appearance. Whereas me, at least I'm white passing, they don't think I'm just someone looks. So no one's going to really be too tough about my discrimination or different in that kind of way. And if anything, I positive discrimination because I'm white passing, which is a blessing for traveling. But you don't realize how hard it is. Like, consider all these things in your mind. Like if I start praying here on the side, like this cafe or outside of where there's space, am I going to get attacked? Am I going to get someone to say signs? You know, different things to think about. All these things on your mind, so you have to be more careful and more cautious, and it's not as easy to go and see the world. But inshallah, coming soon, I want to personally make a difference and help this out, help the situation, make a personal solution to this situation, this problem for us. And more and more people now building startups, helping out, and Muslim content creators, all the brothers out there that are doing content, shout out to you because you're making it easier, you're showing where we can go, what we can do. And the sisters too as well, like, a lot more value to you guys. But yeah, it's seriously a lot more thought behind what you do and where you go, wasn't it?
Your relationship with Islam changed while living here?
Definitely. I think the biggest part of my relationship with Islam, I realized the importance of community. Community is so important. When I was at university, constantly surrounded by my brothers at ISOP and stuff like that, your deen is always really high. Your faith, how like active you are in your faith is always constantly at a high level because you're going to the mosque, you're around the brothers, you're around, you know, you're in that environment which is pushing you towards your deen. When you're traveling and you're away for so long by yourself, your deen gets tested. You don't have other people to hold you accountable anymore. It's all just you and Allah. So traveling definitely makes it harder. It makes me realize that the community aspect of religion and of Islam and everything is the most important part because that's what holds you accountable, that's what keeps you in check. And that's what also makes it easier. Because if, like, for example, there's only 2 halal restaurants, if you are going with all your boys and you're only going to those 2 restaurants, like it was in Canterbury, the man didn't know in Canterbury there was like 3 halal restaurants in the first year that we could go to. By the end of the third year, there was like maybe like 12 or 15, but in the beginning there was like 3 restaurants. So, but because there was us going all together every time, it was calm because we're at least together doing it. But when you're alone and going to the same restaurant, you kind of feel like, bro, what am I doing? Why not I just go and eat this other non-halal restaurant? Who's going to watch me? Who's going to care? You have the thoughts. So, being abroad and being here, it made me realize how important the community aspect is. That's why everywhere needs to have more community. The mosques, it's on the mosque and the mosque leaders to be more sincere about their approach to the community. I've spoken to the committee here at multiple mosques, and they're now actively trying to do certain things to build the community, especially online, social media, things like that. But it's not. It doesn't come with common sense to them. It has to be like pushed by us in the younger generation to tell them this is something that we should be doing to help out the brothers, help out the sisters, and help people feel more content in life. So that's a big part of it. I think community is so important. I realize that being out here.
What do you miss about London the most?
My family, of course, my friends, food. We talk about food too much now. My whole life is just food, guys, trust me. The big thing I miss is parks. Parks and nature. Out here, the nature, I've been saying this again and again, the nature in Seoul feels so forced. And it is. Like, I was looking into the research, asking people about it, and it's obviously like a lot of the parks and the areas in Seoul are very planned. They're like planned neighborhoods and things like that. So of course it's gonna feel artificial. But I feel like even Singapore, which is artificial, didn't feel like the parks were that artificial over there. And the nature felt more natural. But here, a big part that I miss from London, the parks, Hyde Park, you know, the Kensington Gardens, like those big parks in London where you can just take off for the whole day. You go there, you just chill, you know, good vibes, ride around on bicycles. I feel like that's missing here. Obviously, if you go to like Jeonju and the Chuncheon and go to the countryside, you're gonna get beautiful nature. Like Nami Island, that place was breathtaking. But you have to really like intentionally go and seek it. You can't just walk outside and go to a park, or like just walk outside and go to like a forest or something like everything where I live. So that's a big part that I miss.
Did Korea change you, and if so, how?
Korea made me realize who I am as a man and what I value in life. And by that I mean like being here made me more certain, made me more intentional about what's gonna be next. Like I now know what actually motivates me, what I'm living for. You know, when you realize you're away from your mom, you're away from your family, and you're family oriented, you realize that okay, these are the people that I'm fighting for, these are the people that I need to pursue greatness for, so that I can have them around me wherever I go. And it just kind of put me in reality check, like you need to lock in more and give me more focus and direction. Inshallah, we'll see what happens next.
Do you ever worry you're behind compared to the people back home?
This is a great question. And there's definitely been times where I've looked at like some of my people like, oh, Allahumma barik, mashallah, to all of them, no evil eye at all. And I look back at my boys or people I know from uni or still follow and stuff. You see what they're doing, and they are doing well on the left hand. And they're doing well and they're moving up in the ranks. And like, it's a very visual growth since uni. I did the other day, I started uni 6 years ago, and I graduated 3 years ago. And I was thinking to myself, what do I actually have to show for it those 3 years? I don't have a house, I don't have a car, I don't have any tangible things. Like some of them do like go to graduate schemes or, you know, got a good opportunity to others and are working hard, and it made me realize that like obviously comparison is a joy, you shouldn't be comparing yourself all the time. You can't help but do it naturally. So I do look at like, I'm just baking up in Korea, like that's how I look at it sometimes. I'm just in Korea, just chilling. Like what am I actually doing? Like, how is this progressing me forward? So I definitely have those thoughts, but at the same time, now look at what I've done and what I can live. Like what they're doing genuinely is not going anywhere. That plan B is always there. I can always fall back and go and grind and get a training contract and go into law, for example, or something. That's what I wanted to do. But I feel like taking this risk and taking these steps is what I'm destined to do. That's what I feel like it fuels me. It makes me realize what life is about. Like life is about exploring, about living, about creating memories that you can look back on and then tell your children about, your grandkids, or your friends, your family. And like, I feel like a lot of people back home are vicariously living through me, and they've told me themselves, like, oh, what you're doing is inspiring. You just got up and went. You didn't ask any questions or ask for permission. Big part of it, you have to just get up and move sometimes. So when I remind myself that the other alternative is always available, it gives me more peace of mind. And then I feel like I'm, I've got my own path. Allahu Alam, like I'm just following God's plan. Whenever I'm missing home, this is where I come. Best burgers and sauce. Genuinely.
What keeps you choosing the uncertainty?
Genuinely, the uncertainty of life. Whenever I'm at the crossroads, I'm like, okay, I could do this, safe option, stable, or I could choose uncertainty. Imagine I die tomorrow, you know? That's what I mean when I say life is uncertain. If I were to die tomorrow, which could happen, I could die tomorrow. Would I want to die doing night shifts at Waitrose, or having moved to Korea and lived out some amazing memories here? When you think about it in that way, where you know that life is temporary and everything is a test, and also everything is a possibility, it changes your mindset, and then you realize that it's not actually an uncertain path. It's uncertain in that you don't know what's going to happen next, for sure. But even the other part is uncertain. If I got a job at like a law firm and was working like a training contract, that's also an uncertain part because anything can happen from there. It's an unconventional part. I think is a better way to phrase it maybe. But the fact that I think it's just something it's like innate. I think like both my parents have always loved traveling and always been quite like go-getters, and because of that it's inspired me. My mom traveled a lot when she was young and that's inspired me. How amazing and strong she is and what she did in her life, that's inspired me. And my dad as well came from humble beginnings and has done very well for himself, alhamdulillah. He's done amazing things as well, so there's inspirations for me genuinely. And what they've done from seemingly zero to where they're at is amazing. And now it's my job and my duty to then take what they've done to the moon. And because of that delusional ambition is what drives me to keep going and choosing an uncertain path, because that's the only way that I can achieve what I want to achieve.
What's next after Korea?
The rough game plan. After Korea, I'm going to go to the Middle East. It's going to be Ramadan when I'm leaving Korea. So I want to go and spend a few days in a Muslim country in the Middle East to experience Ramadan there for the first time, sure. That's going to tell me whether that's an area that I want to live in the future, and also going to expose me to a different style of life that I've not seen. Then after that, I'll be in the UK for a couple months. I think I need to go back home and just touch home base just for a little bit, just to kind of bring my thoughts together. Like being here is like go, and then you need to go back to the campsite, go back to the HQ, you know, and just like reset, reframe, and then go. Also got some big events happening, like alhamdulillah, one of my best friends is getting married. My body, shout out to you, bro. So I'm going to his wedding, inshallah. And then after that, we'll see what's next. As you guys know, I'm going to take another uncertain path, another risk. We're going to be going somewhere else in the world to go to school. That's part of my journey. And like I told you guys as well, like there's some projects I want to work on. Now that I've realized how important community is, I'm going to be trying to build some community projects, inshallah, both in the UK and online, that can really help both myself and all the other ummah around the world, inshallah. That's the next plan.
What would you tell someone thinking of leaving home but scared?
The one thing I always say to my friends, there's two types of regret in life. There's the regret of something that you did, and there's the regret of something that you never did. And these two regrets, obviously, they're both bad. But for me, I think the regret of not having tried something and not knowing the outcome is 100 times worse than the regret of something you did. Because at least you did it and now you know the consequences, so you learn from it. If you never take the risk and you never try something, it's impossible to know how it would have gone or how you would have felt afterwards. And uncertainty in that risk should push you to try. Because worst case, one day you hate it, you can always go back to what was there before. It's not going anywhere necessarily. And even if it feels like it is tangibly, like you're gonna like sell your house to move, or you're gonna quit your job or do whatever, there will always be more possibilities and more opportunities if you put your faith in your hard work and your work ethic and also what. Yeah, I'd say just go for it, you know. In life, you should always say yes. If you have no good reason to say no, just say yes. You never know what's gonna happen. Any more questions?
What's the best restaurant in Seoul?
Sinchonburger, you guys have to come here and try it. Alhamdulillah, last night, bismillah. 10 out of 10. You just have to try it out for yourself. Thank you for them as well for allowing me to come here and for providing me with this meal. Does the cameraman have any questions?
Biggest cultural shock whilst you were traveling?
Like I said, I don't think I've had any like crazy cultural shocks in Korea. It's many things I've talked about before. You were like, the work ethic here is very intense, a lot more than I thought it was going to be. Like, people really work so hard for like 10 days of a year, like 10 or 13 days of the whole year, like all their holidays. It's crazy to me. Like, people work that hard. Like, you're not really living, you're only living to work. You're not working to live. And also, like I touched on before, like it was very foreign to me to see a place that doesn't really have much of a concept of God or anything like that. Like, a lot of people I met have no really apprehension of God. They don't really thought about it, never really like crossed their mind. But again, it's because they don't teach it in schools. Sometimes you see people, especially when I've been out at like nighttime in areas where there's like clubbing happening, soulless eyes, bro, soulless eyes. You look at them and you're like, bro, is someone in there or are these NPCs? Like, it's hard to tell sometimes. Right? Those are probably the biggest cultural shocks. But alhamdulillah, honestly, been an amazing experience. Thank you to everyone who supported me along the way, and obviously thank you to God. Kept me safe, alhamdulillah. But yeah, on to the next story, you know, next chapter is gonna be crazy. Crazy exciting. We're gonna see what happens next. But you guys have enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this. Comment down below if you have any more questions or what you want to see next. If you could control me, if I was a GTA character, where would I go next? Where would you take me next? Let me know. And make sure you guys check out Sinchonburger. I'll leave the links down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.